Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, my friends. My name is Kimberly Rice, Chief Changemaker for Changemakers, a business accelerator program for women professionals to help them create the career of their dreams by charting their own course. Today, I'm so excited to welcome my friend Janet Valenza for a new episode of our Changemaker podcast. We're going to dive into professional design and dress and what makes us feel good, how we can make decisions on our wardrobe and how we show up in the physical sense. So welcome this morning, Janet.
Thank you, Kimberly. I'm so excited to be here. This is going to be fun.
I mean, there's so many times, particularly, and I'm sure we're going to talk about this, pre-COVID. I think you and I have been in the workplace long enough to remember pantyhose, God help us, and pumps and lined jackets in 100-degree weather where we had to go to meetings and multi-layers. And it's so interesting that when COVID hit in March 2020, everything shut down. It really, from the world of fashion and design as it relates to professional wardrobes, it was a revolutionary. Would you agree with that?
Yes, absolutely. People started to live in sweatpants and hoodies, and it was a whole different world for sure.
So we're going to dive into some of that as far as the incremental changes and then the blast revolutionary that happened in 2020 and how we as professional women and professionals can address that in a very productive and easy way, in a non-stressful way. But first, I want you, Janet, to share with our listeners a bit about yourself, a few insights into your professional journey, and what makes your heart sing professionally.
Well, thanks, Kimberly. I am the president of women's wardrobe brand, GoGoGracious, and our mission is to help dynamic women like you who appreciate fashion look great in less time. And my passion, really, what makes my heart sing, is being able to share the lessons that I learned over the last 20 years about how to simplify my wardrobe. And I have everything I need for every occasion, for every climate, and I don't have a lot of clothes. So it took 20 years to kind of develop that. I really have a passion for sharing it with others. And beyond that, I am a past CFO, also from over 20 years ago. I do have a fashion design degree as well, more recently, but my past is a CFO. So I come at it from a very analytical viewpoint, which is unusual in fashion. And that's what I bring to the table that's different.
Mm. That's fascinating. So you've walked both sides of the line, per se, as far as in the corporate world, because she wasn't Young and Rubicam. That was a very, very large advertising agency in New York, right?
Yes. At the time, it was the world's largest privately held ad agency in the world.
Yeah. So a lot of expectations, I would imagine, and image importance in that environment.
Yes, absolutely. Talking actually was very important in that environment. Advertising's a speaking business, but visual is always important. Our clothes speak before we do, so it's important no matter what field you're in. Exactly.
So I'm just curious, moving and transitioning from that corporate environment, what led you down this specific professional path?
Well, first of all, I've been in my own business. I've had my own business for over 20 years, and I was in the corporate world only 10 years. So, most of my professional life has been spent as a business owner. The short answer to your question is that I studied accounting because it was my father's dream. That's what he wanted me to do. And I followed his dream, became a CFO of a $100 million subsidiary of Young and Rubicam. And then one day I had an epiphany in my corner office with all the trappings. I had bought an apartment. I had the funded my retirement account, and I realized this is not my dream. This is my father's dream. And I wanted a chance to pursue my own dream. So I left there. I quit without a lot of thought. I mean, I waited a few weeks, but I did quit without a lot of thought, because I knew, and I wish I had more preparation, but I knew that even if I was a complete dismal failure, that it would be better than a life of bitterness and resentment. And that's kind of where I was going. I had that, thank goodness and thank God, level of self-awareness even at that early stage.
Well, talk about a change-making epiphany, if you will, right? I mean, to completely step out of what you had trained and been educated to do, and then had that revelation that in fact that is not the best use of your gifts and talents.
Exactly. And I think that the best use of your gift and talents, as you put it, even if it's challenging, is a much better path than living a life that isn't really you. Because even if it's hard, there's still a satisfaction in doing something that you really feel that you were meant to do.
And it takes a lot of courage to do that, doesn't it? I mean, the courage, because you don't know the uncertainty that faces you from going from what you knew into something that you did not know.
Yes, it does. And many people recognize that in me, and I feel grateful to have that gift. Really, I was able to do that. I don't know, some people might think it was a foolish move, but for me it was the right thing, and I never looked back. I really never looked back.
That's phenomenal. Well, kudos to you for having stepped out. So I'd love for you to share with our listeners a little bit about your services, what you find working with women professionals, how they benefit from your services, and what their pain points are.
Well, the benefit is really that women are busy, professional women are busy, and they often don't have time to shop. They love clothing, don't have time to shop, or they have beautiful pieces. A lot of the clients, I'm thinking of one client in particular who had beautiful pieces, so a great eye on her own, but just difficulty putting it together and turning it into outfits and seeing how to put it together. With having been in sweatpants and hoodies for 2 years, people have come to me and said, gee, I'm standing in front of my closet. I don't, everything, first of all, there's too much in there. Secondly, everything's gone so casual, even more casual now, and my clothes just simply look too formal. Or like you, my weight has fluctuated, and I'm really not sure about the sizing and all of that. So we can help with that. And the process on one's own can be overwhelming and confusing, and that's the benefit of it. We help. Our philosophy is simplicity. We help women go from comfy to camera to client without really changing. Our Simply Smart Style consultation is unique in that it's virtual, right in front of your own closet. And the result, the deliverable, is we identify 10 items, 5 outfits, complete outfits, which include accessories like, the pop of color, and layering so that, you can accommodate air conditioning and everything else, shoes. So they're complete outfits, 5 complete outfits, as I said, that go from comfy to camera to client without changing. And we also, part of the deliverable, the third thing is a shopping list, so that of missing pieces, so that with visual examples, by the way, so that when you do go out to shop, you're not overwhelmed by everything the fashion industry has thrown at us. And I really I really believe the fashion industry does not serve the professional woman, because it's all about more is more. Here's the fads of the season. You must have this. Here's the colors you need to buy this year. When all of that is just, overwhelming, and as I said, doesn't serve women. So we make it, the way that we serve women is we make it easy, despite all these challenges, to look and feel great, just throughout the diverse activities of your day. If you're, on a Zoom call, heading to coffee with a client, picking up your kids, walking your dog, go back to the office, getting on a plane, the clothing that we help you assemble facilitates those diverse activities, looking and feeling great without having to change.
Sounds very powerful, very convenient. I love the Simply Smart style consultations in front of your closet. What is that like? I would assume that's like a Zoom.
Yes, that's a Zoom call. We could do it on FaceTime also, where the client prepares for the meeting by coming with, I ask her to bring her measurements, and then I ask her to put together 3 outfits: what she would wear working from home, what she would wear to meet a client, what she would wear, say, in the evening to go out to a nice dinner. And so those are 3 different things and when she comes, I get a sense of how she's dressing now, what she's wearing, and it's this jumping off point for us together to evaluate those outfits for fit, which is the most important thing, and looking great. For versatility, meaning we're always looking to go from that day to evening philosophy with every outfit. For how it's put together, like the various pieces. And oftentimes I love this because I find gems in people's closets that they hadn't thought of wearing that way. And then for styling. So as I said a minute ago, the complete outfit, which includes the accessories, the shoes, the layers, and that's how it works. So it's virtual, it's on a Zoom call, it's in front of her closet, and she is changing. So, she's stepping off to change and coming back, so that it's a very dynamic process, because I have to see the whole body, including the shoes, to evaluate it.
Powerful. I mean, it really is something that is empowering. Must be very empowering for your clients that they can have this closet closed outfit inventory right in the comfort of their own homes.
Yes, it is. It is. But, the feedback has been great. People enjoy it. They find it useful. And it really is the first step to following this same process into different seasons that will eventually allow you to consolidate things. And it's also the first step to letting go of things. People often say, oh, I have to wait until, I get rid of my clutter or cull down my closet. No, you really don't have to wait for that, because you start. If I always tell people, start with what you love, start with what works, and let's build from there from your own closet. Then you can see what's not working and what you can really get rid of. You'll have a better idea by building from what's working.
I love that. I love that. Start with what's working first. So, the theme of our podcast and my heart mission is about change making and change makers. And there's so many women professionals who are out in that workplace, juggling so many things, moving from comfy to, I forget what you said, comfy to something to client.
Comfy to camera to client.
There you go. Comfy to client. Love that. So as it relates to professional dressing here in 2022, I'd love for you to tell us what, from your unique perspective, what you've seen in the past 2 years, and what do you see on the horizon that is disrupting business as usual as it relates to fashion and design?
Well, in a word, two things really. I think COVID and the lockdown that happened really made things even more casual. Fashion was going very casual before that. I mean, you look at Big 8 accounting firm having business casual dress code 5 days a week. This was pre-COVID.
Mhm.
That's casual when a big conservative firm like that says we're going business casual. And then COVID, accelerated that whole process. And I don't think that's going away. I think that the biggest challenge for a lot of people, women and men, but women is our focus. Big challenge is, how do I balance casual looks with leadership presence, right? Because we all want to be, we're striving to be leaders. We want to look like leaders. We want to feel like leaders. And if it's too casual, it doesn't feel like that. So I think that's a challenge that we address with a lot of our information. And like many industries, the other answer to your question is technology. Technology is affecting everything. And I think the opportunity for disruption in fashion and design with technology is what we're starting to focus on, which is being able to begin inside of a client's closet so that, we can sell her the right things, that she can get the right things, that it's not just purchasing things in a vacuum, it's purchasing with a lot of information gathered and including an inventory of what's in your closet. I mean, there's technology now that accommodates that, and it just makes sense. Why would anyone want to shop in a vacuum when they could shop with the benefit of everything they already own? And for designers, for retailers, for fashion companies, be able to help a client to that level and to that degree, I think is a win-win. I think it could create a client for life for sure, and really help someone solve the issues that they have every day getting dressed with their wardrobe.
What do you see? That's an interesting jumping off point. What do you see as some of the most common obstacles or road bumps for many of your women clients, specifically in the leadership roles, in the C-suite areas?
You mean in terms of their wardrobe?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I talk about collars a lot. Okay, so you could see me wearing a collar here because a collar frames the face for a call. The collar is highlighting the face, and it's an easy way to lend leadership presence. And but you don't want to wear anything that's too stiff or formal because it just doesn't look modern enough. So, a collared shirt in a knit fabric, for example, creates a more casual feel to it than say a woven fabric. It's more, a stretch knit item is more casual than a woven item, but the collar balances it out. So I would say the biggest challenge is that we help give them information. And I led an event last week for my women's business owners group. People came back to me with what they learned, which was very satisfying because I always seek to give people useful information. And one of the things I said there, which is similar to what I just said about a collar and a knit fabric, is that you want to get a structured, like a blazer, for example, you could get a structured jacket like a blazer in a more casual fabric, like a fleece or a knit. And that kind of balances the leadership with the casual in a way that most people don't think about, because these pieces are not easy to find. And we've all been taught to think, oh, this is for work and this is for play. But we haven't been taught to think, how do we truly bring that together? And so I think that's the challenge for most people. They think they don't have the information to think about things in a more, again, it's analytical, so that versatility and casual leadership presence is there.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, it needs to be simple, transitioning easily, but yet reflecting your, I guess, I don't want to say status, but but it matters as far as what the clothes, what the message we're sending non-verbally through what we're wearing, right?
Yes, and I know that you talk about that as well, and it's definitely important. It's definitely important, and you don't have to feel. People say, "Oh, it's not going to be comfortable." Yes, it is going to be comfortable because there's a lot of stretch, and knits are really comfortable, and you can be comfortable and still have that leadership presence at the same time.
Mm-hmm. That it is interesting. I mean, there's been so many changes in the fashion industry just in the last couple of years. I mean, we can find spandex or other type of stretchy elements in even the most buttoned up looking corporate in outfits or pieces,
Yes,
and that are
and
very forgiving.
very forgiving and very comfortable, and also make it lend an easier look to it, because that stretch kind of makes it more crossover into almost like an active wear feeling.
Mm,
And the
that
fact
yeah, that's wonderful. So I'm just curious, from your unique point of view, Janet, what are some of your best practices and analytical approach that women professionals should focus on to develop a winning game plan?
well, the first thing that I focus on is, as far as analytical goes, is wearability, and items really earning their keep in your closet, right? So closet is real estate, and you want items that you're wearing a lot to be taking up that real estate. Otherwise, they haven't earned their keep. So ideas like price per wear. Like sometimes people will say, "Oh, I could never buy that. That's too expensive." Not if you're going to wear it like 100 times in 1 year, right? It's not so expensive. So that idea of price per wear, the idea of earning your keep in your closet. Your clothes have to earn their keep, um, and most people wear only 20% of what's in their closet.
Mm,
I can tell you, I have gotten to the point where I wear everything in my closet. Otherwise, it's not in there. And
wow, that's amazing.
yeah, and so this is the way I've done it. Okay, so that's the overall kind of analytical approach, and then things like knowing what cut is best for your shape, and you don't have to stick to that cut 100% of the time, but meaning like a straight figure form fitted shape, or an A line. Those are two examples of cuts, and so the reason why you would want to know that, and you'd want to have thinking about that when you purchase pieces, is because they are more easily layerable. You cannot put a big flowing garment underneath a very fitted jacket. You're just never going to look good or feel good. And so if you start thinking in that analytical way, you will get more wearability by definition from your clothing. And a practical aspect of it is you will be able to wear items that are for summer underneath your winter layers. So you don't have to change out your clothes. Okay. I don't change out my clothes, and I feel great in pretty much everything I own. So changing out your clothes is a headache for busy people.
Oh, Lord, it is. I've been doing it for decades. I have a distinct spring, summer, winter, fall transition. When we go, like when we go to much warmer climates where we need linen and gauze, that's a whole nother separate thing. In the higher humidities, etc. So it can become pretty complex.
Yes. And, if to each his own, I say, and if some people like to live that way, and it's fine. But what we're focusing on is the professional woman with not a lot of time to devote to this, who wants to look and feel great, who loves clothes, but really wants to get away from that level of complexity in how they live.
Sure, sure. Well, this has just been an absolutely fascinating conversation. To me, it's fascinating because I've always been into fashion. I work with our clients, Changemaker clients and members, and women professionals for many, many years in the power of professional presence. But now we have to add the additional, in the post-COVID era, because it truly has revolutionized how we show up, what is, best practices really. And as you say, I love the comfy to camera to client, because so many of us are working, a lot of us are working in a hybrid model where we don't go into a bricks and mortar office and have that FaceTime every day. And your firm, you and your expertise and your team offer the solution for that exact issue. And particularly if you've just got the busy schedule and you're hybrid home, you're at work, and you do have a lot of demands on your time that require, different looks and different images and the different ways you want to show up. So I think it's just absolutely wonderful that you and your team can offer these solutions for our busy women professional clients. So I just wanted to offer, is there anything else that you'd like to share with our listeners, to give them an insight into how you serve your clients?
Let's see. I do not think that I left anything out. You're very thorough in your questions. And I think that I pretty much covered what we initially talked about. So I think
Okay,
it's great.
good. And I just wanted to give you that opportunity. So as we end another episode of our Changemakers podcast, where we're always uplifting and hopefully offering empowering information to our Changemaker listeners, I certainly want to give you, Janet, an opportunity to connect with our listeners. And so what would you say and offer as the best way for our listeners to connect with you?
Well, I can be reached by email at Janet V, so that's Janet V like victory, at GoGoGracious.com. And that's spelled exactly as it sounds, GOGO plus the word gracious.com. So Janet V at GoGoGracious.com. I welcome phone calls. People don't pick up the phone, but if anyone is inclined, my number's 917-497-5319, or you can text me there. Or I can be reached on all social media. My handle is at JanVNYC. That's JAN, V like victory, NYC like New York City. So at JanVNYC. And that's on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, where I have over 100 tip videos now with a lot of great information.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, thank you so much. This has been an absolutely fascinating conversation. I'm sure that our listeners are going to pick up some wonderful tips of the things that you've offered of how to move from comfy to client, to camera to client, when sometimes our wardrobe choices can get overwhelming where we are now in our work life. So thank you so much for joining us, Janet, and all the best for you and your team. And thank you again for our listeners of Changemakers. This wraps up another episode of our podcast, where we constantly are looking to uplift and empower women professionals to create the career of their dreams by charting their own course. And so what we always love to say, until next time, you must be the change that you want to see.
Love it. Love it. Thank you so much, Kimberly.